All right, guys, welcome to your first calculus assignment. This is just to introduce the topic of what our first unit is all about to you. Our first unit is all about derivatives, and this assignment helps you kind of get a feel for what those things are, what they represent. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. It says each point above is generated by the function f of x is equal to x squared. So each of those little red points is generated by that equation. So for instance, if I take my function f of x, you don't need to write this, I'm just showing you something. But if I take my function and I plug in 0 for x, I will get 0. And that means that the x value is 0 and the y value is 0, and therefore we have that point right here. Or I could plug in 1. If I plug in 1, then I have 1. F of 1 is equal to 1 squared, which is 1. And therefore, when x is 1, y is 1. And so we have this point right here. It's kind of hard to tell that that's 1, 1, but it is. Let's do another one. Let's say I plugged in 10. So if I plugged in 10 to that function, I get 100. So in that case, when x is 10, y is 100. And that's this point right here. At x equals 10, y is 100. Okay? So this equation here tells me all the different y values. So that's how you'll be filling in this row here. Our job is to fill in this table. So I need to find the y values. So when x equals 8, what is y? So I would just plug 8 in to the f of x function, and I get 64. And so that's right there. And that happens to be this point right here, 8, 64, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'll let you guys do the rest of those in that row. But we also want to know how to do the slope. That's the next row here. Now I say find the slope, and if it's in a fraction, change it to a decimal. We may or may not have to do that on the first one, but let's go ahead and see what we got here. So the slope of what? It says lines 1 through 6, that's all these blue lines that you see up here, lines 1 through 6 above, connect the point 2, 4, that's this point right here. Each one of the blue lines goes through that point, and each blue line connects the point 2, 4 to one of the other dots. So for instance, let me clear some space here. If I wanted to connect this dot to the point 2, 4, that looks like that would be line number 1. Okay? So if I wanted to find the slope of line 1, which is what I want to do, I need to use the slope formula. So how do I do that? Well, if I want to find the slope of the line that connects 2, 4 to this point up here, 864, it might help to start by labeling these points. That's 2, 4, and this is 864. And it would also help if you remember the slope formula. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Which one is x2, y2, x1, and y1? Well, you label them yourself. We'll call these ones the 1s, and we'll call these ones over here the 2s. So if I were to plug that in, I would get 64 minus 4 over 8 minus 2, which is 60 over 6, which is 10. And that's what I'm going to put right here. Okay? So you do need to find the y values first, the way that I showed you in the beginning. After you find all your y values, then you can go through and find the slopes. I'll do another one. Let's find the y value for this. How do you find the y value? You just plug it in. So f of x equals x squared. I'm plugging in 7, so 7 gives me 49. So that's what goes right here. Now, I want to draw a line that connects 2, 4, this point again, to the point 749. 749 is right here. And that will give me line 2. Now I want to find the slope of that line. So, once again, we're going to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to calculate that slope. So, let's do that. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is 45 over 5, which is 9. So that slope of line 2 is 9. All right, so let's go ahead and have, for the next one, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do a little bit of it, but I'll still show you the work so that you guys can check your answers here. So the first thing I want you guys to do is pause the video if you need to, and see if you can figure out what goes there. When you unpause it, I'll tell you. You should have gotten 36 for that one, because all you do is you plug 6 in to this function, and 6 squared is 36. All right, go ahead and find the slope of line 3 now. Pause the video here. When you unpause it, I'll show you. So line 3 is this line right here, and that connects the point 2, 4 to the point 6, 36, x1, y1, x2, y2. And then doing our slope formula, you get y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and you get 32 over 4, which is 8. Now you might be noticing some patterns. Oops, I put that in the wrong place. You might be noticing some patterns here, and that's fine, but don't get too comfortable, because the pattern's not always going to stay the same for all the tables on this worksheet. But that is the process for solving those things. After that, you'll notice that we have some decimals values here to work with, but just use a calculator, and if you ever get a fraction answer, just write it as a decimal by dividing, and so on, and then answer the questions that follow, and that'll be it for that thing. So I'll leave the rest to you guys. Hopefully that was helpful. We'll see you guys in class tomorrow.